welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good weekend, a good break, and you're ready for more. Lots of interesting things to talk about this week that have been happening in the Microsoft Teams development world, in the Azure Communication Services world, and some low-code stuff as well to talk about. So let's start off with the Microsoft Graph Toolkit, which affects kind of all developers, whether they're Teams developers or Microsoft 365 developers. At least I hope it does. I hope you're using it. It's a great tool. It will help kind of really get you building cool stuff faster. If you're building third-party applications that use Microsoft 365, you'll be able to take and make use of some common controls, some good composite controls, UI components that you can use to make your app look better, look more professional, without you putting in loads and loads of work. And that's a good thing, right? So the Microsoft Graph Toolkit has a new preview version out. It's version 3.0 preview 1. And so this is, they're going to do a bunch of previews, I think, before they get to their final 3.0 release. So if you're building something actively right now, if it's in development, I would try and track to these previews, because then you'll be on the very latest and greatest. As you go to GA, you can tie it in with version 3 going GA as well, which means that you'll be able to take advantage of all of the new UI functionalities. Let's look at some of those functionalities right now, because this is the blog post for that preview. I'm just going to jump down here to some interesting things. Okay, select from a collection is kind of interesting. Easily switch between light and dark modes, I think it's a really nice add-on for your app to have, actually. It's kind of cool because as you do it, I'm not going to play this video actually, but as you do it, there you go. All of the controls will kind of just change nice and easily, which is really cool. This is huge, seamlessly switching between accounts. So if you're using the toolkit for authentication, and you're using the MGT login component to do that, you'll get this basically for free, which is a ton of effort as a developer to do. There's a really good reason a lot of third-party apps don't support seamlessly switching between accounts. It's a ton of work. Is it really worth it? It would be a huge user advantage, but it never seems to be worth it for the effort. Now you can just add it in like super easily to your application, which is great. And sending messages, staying in context, which is kind of interesting as well. In the flow, let's see if this video will play. So you can see this Megan Brown is back, and you'll be able to just kind of send a quick message here off the basically off the contact card, which is really interesting. Like, for applications, I think that's huge. If you've got a third-party application that is not about chat, because that's for Teams, right? But you want to, let's say you've got a CRM application, and it's a third-party legacy CRM application, but you're trying to embed some bits of Microsoft 365 in it. So you're using the toolkit, and let's say you've got the account manager of the account is a person, and they're also in Teams, so you can tie them up because you can find out who they are. Now you can put their profile card in, but now people can instantly, from that third-party application, they can just send a quick message that will go in Teams. I think that's really useful, actually. So it's stuff like that I think is really interesting. So if you're not using this toolkit, you really should be. I think it will take your app to new and interesting places that, a bunch of functionality, let's be honest, you're not going to do because it's too much work and it's not core to the thing that your application is building. But if you have it in there, it's going to make it such a better experience for your users. So that's my number one recommendation for today. Go and get on that preview. Get up to date with that code base. Let them know if you hit any problems. Let them know if there's something in there that you really want to do, because I think a lot of these features that they're adding now are directly from user feedback. So if there's something in there that you want and you can't see it, go let them know, because they might add it in for you. All right, let's talk about something else. Azure Communication Services have dropped a whole new load of features for February for March, sorry. And and so this blog post, getting my months and my weeks confused. Actually, the blog post rounds up the things that they did release in February. So that's why I thought it was February, and then I kind of doubted myself, but no, it is February. So there's a bunch of different things in this blog post. I'm kind of not going to go through all of them. There's some UI library updates, so if you're a developer, that will be interesting. There's some new samples which might be interesting if you're looking to get into Azure Communication Services, or you've picked up a project that you think needs ACS, but you've never done it before, so you're not quite sure what's involved. Maybe you can go look at that as well. Yeah, another interesting one I'm going to call out real quick is the PSTN Direct expansion, if I can find it. That's now GA. So in 7 different countries, including the US and the UK, you can now buy a phone number from Microsoft and use it directly with Azure Communication Services, which is great. You can buy it in the Azure portal. It's the same kind of phone number buying experience as you might expect from Microsoft Teams, but you can now tie it directly to Azure Communication Services and pay for it through Azure. And all that stuff is GA in 7 countries. So that's kind of interesting. I've gone on to the new thing already, so let's talk about it now. And so this is Power Pages. Let's talk about Power Pages. So this is a blog post by Yannick Riekmans, who is a great blogger, a great MVP, great developer in the sort of team space and the Microsoft 365 space, and does a lot with low-code with the Power Platform as well. This is a really interesting place that I hadn't even thought about. So he did a talk last year about Power Pages and the identity strategy for Power Pages. And Microsoft have now basically written up his talk into a blog post, which is interesting. And which is why I'm linking to his rather than theirs. But like, you can go and you can read that bit. You can go and look through the talk. You can go and find where Yannick is speaking next, so you can get his talk. If that's what you're interested. And then you can also go and read Microsoft's blog post for this as well. This was a whole... I read the blog post last week, and I'd never even thought about this. You know, I heard Power Pages coming. I knew Power Pages were a thing. I didn't pay them loads of attention, if I'm honest, because I thought it was something, you know, I thought it was useful. I thought it was interesting. I just didn't think it was of particular interest to me. But I never even thought about the identity strategy. I never even thought about how people would secure Power Pages. And so it's interesting that Yannick did, and it's interesting that it's a whole thing. And now, you know, Microsoft have written it up into a strategy paper. So interesting. If you have Power Pages and you want to secure them, if you don't have Power Pages because you can't secure them, but you want to, go check out both this blog post and the Microsoft blog post, because I think it might be interesting. But I wanted to include it as like one of those, I never even thought about that moments. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And finally, I'm going to leave you one more thing, and we're going to try and keep this to 10 minutes. This is a item that was in the Microsoft 365 roadmap and then disappeared for a little bit, and has now come back as launched, which is good. And it's Microsoft Teams, and it's all about the stores and the way that your applications, when you write them, how your applications show up in Microsoft Teams. And specifically, there's an in-context presentation of applications that's now launched and is available to everyone in GA, certainly on the worldwide tenants. I'm not sure about the others. And this is... So basically, you're in some place, you're in a context. So for instance, you're opening a message extension. There'll be a link there to the App Store to show you a selection of apps that have that specific capability. So not just showing you all the apps in the App Store, just the ones that have the capability specific to the thing you're trying to do. So I think that is useful. I think that's good. This kind of in-context notification of applications in the store. I think it will help drive up user adoption. So I think there's not much as a developer you need to do here. You're already, your manifest already signals the capabilities that your app has. I suppose if you are on the fence about whether or not to include a specific capability or not, and you're not sure it's really worth it, does it add that much more value to add your capability there? I suppose there's an argument to say if you do, it's going to show up in more places and be signaled to more users more often, potentially. So that's kind of one to maybe bear in mind, like the business side of adding a capability, if you like, rather than just the technical. But for the most part, I'd say there's not a lot for developers to do here. It's just good to see that Microsoft are going to start promoting your app in different and new places in Microsoft Teams. All right, that's everything I want to tell you about this week. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. I'm going to have a great week. It's sunny outside. Spring is coming. I've got an exciting week meeting great people. So I'm excited for that. And I had a great week last week as well. Again, different group of people, but very exciting. And I'm excited for this year. I'm excited to see what happens this year. And it won't be that long before we're doing conferences as well. So happy days. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. And I will speak to you again next time.